Hi, I'm KJ and welcome to KJ's Place, and today I'm going to be doing a self-care video, and I've got some tips and some tricks and also a challenge that I'm going to be doing this month. So if you're interested, just keep on watching. So I'm going to start off with a story of what kind of compelled me to take better care of myself, and something that also propelled me to be dedicated to my self-care journey. So earlier this year, I noticed that to be honest, I thought I was going crazy. I remember just waking up and thinking something is wrong with me, and I couldn't really put it into words. And so what had happened was I started experiencing a lot of irrational thoughts and fears. And at the time I didn't know it was due to my anxiety, because I had never had anxiety before, and I've always been, okay mentally. So the beginning of this year, I just remember waking up and feeling like I did not want to get out of bed. And that kind of happened for a couple days in a row, and then it would just happen this week, next week. And I just knew that something wasn't right. So I began to Google. You know how we do, we like to self-diagnose ourselves. So I started Googling some of the symptoms that I was experiencing, and some of these symptoms were irrational thoughts, meaning thoughts that had never happened and probably would have never happened, thoughts of things that have not happened or would never happen, just really crazy things, harmful, negative things. I'd also have irrational fears, so fear of things that have not happened or will never happen, and I'd always take a situation and turn it around and flip it in my head, and it was just driving me insane. I was just mentally burnt out because my thoughts were running rampant in my mind. And I just knew, and I didn't want to get out of bed. I'm just like, okay, my thoughts are just all over the place. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm tripping, I'm going crazy. And it led to me being really fatigued and depressed. And again, I started to Google some things. And once I started to put in these symptoms, I noticed that things would pop up on Google about anxiety. So I was like, I thought anxiety, when I thought of anxiety, I thought of anxiety attacks and panic attacks. I didn't know that there were different grades of anxiety. So I started to, I think I clicked on a website, and this website listed all of my symptoms that I was having. It was other symptoms other than irrational thoughts and fears. I can't really remember exactly what they were. I just knew that I clicked on this link and my symptoms were there. So I was like, okay, so there's a name for it, and I felt a little bit better because, y'all, I thought I was going crazy. I was just like, what is happening? My mind was just all over the place. So I even took a couple of anxiety tests online, and my results came back as having GAD, G-A-D, which stands for General Anxiety Disorder or something like that. And I pretty much, self-diagnosed myself. I know it's not the proper thing to do, but with things like anxiety, you can't really go and get tested for it. It's not something that shows like in your blood or anything like that. You pretty much tell the doctor what your symptoms are, and from there they, make their diagnosis. So I did that, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. I'm a law student, and now I'm entering into my third year. At that time I had just started my second year earlier this year, and I was under just a lot of stress, a tremendous amount of stress, and it had to do with law school and some personal things, and all of that just put together, and my mind was just over it, and it just needed a break. So once I started to treat my anxiety, I was like, okay, I have the general part. It wasn't to the point where it was debilitating, where I did not want to get out of bed, or I did not want to go to class, or I couldn't do my normal routine. It wasn't that bad, but I wanted to get a handle on it before it escalated. So I started to just look up some things to treat anxiety naturally. I didn't want to take medicine or anything like that. And I'm just going to share with you some of the things that have helped me to get over anxiety. The first thing is exercise. I know that's like number one on everybody's list of things that you should do, but exercising is really important, not just physically but mentally. I love to bike. I love to ride my bike. I love to go walking. It soothes me, it eases me, it relaxes my mind. And for a while I stopped biking, and I can't even figure out why, you know, but I started doing that again, and that helped a lot. Just getting out, getting some fresh air, not staying in my bed all day. You know, I go to class every day, so I'm in a classroom setting or I'm in the library, so I made it a habit to make time, even if it was before class or after class, to just go biking outside somewhere. The second thing I did was I started journaling. So I've always journaled, but I wasn't really consistent with it. So I started to really use my journal. And the thing about journaling, the thing about me is that I don't talk about what I'm going through personally to everybody. There's probably like one or two people, and that's probably my mom and my sister. And I usually don't share things with what's going on with me. So what happened when you have irrational thoughts and fears is that these things are playing in your mind over and over and over again, and there's no way out. So literally I'd recycle the same thoughts. It was just like, I just dealt with this yesterday and it's back, because I wasn't really talking to anybody. I mean, I wasn't really releasing that. And if you don't have a therapist or someone that you can confide in, then who do you talk to? No one. And so the thoughts just stay up there, and they create all types, and they wreak all types of havoc on your body. And I just wasn't talking to anybody about what I was going through. I just kind of was sucking it up, and I was like, well, I just need to get it together. And I wasn't really approaching that in the right way. So what I started doing was I make it a habit to write down something every day, even if it's small. It doesn't even have to be in a journal. It can be in a notebook or something like that, but excuse me, I'm definitely more consistent with journaling. Another thing I started doing was I found a new love in meditation and yoga. So again, I was just researching natural ways to deal with anxiety, and I stumbled upon a couple of blogs about meditation and yoga. I don't have a routine or a rhythm to it. Usually I start out by really stretching my body. I tend to carry stress on the back of my shoulders, and so I'm always like hunched over, or I'm always like massaging my neck. There's so much tension there. So I really started to stretch at least 2 to 3 times a day. Not only am I more flexible, but my body is less ached and all that type of stuff. I also do yoga, but I don't do it to a rhythm or anything. I looked up some yoga moves on Pinterest, and I just do those, and I just take my time, and I just kind of bask in the moment. Also meditation, I don't chant or anything like that. Really what I do is I just have my yoga mat, and I sit Indian style, and I just breathe deeply, and I just calm my nerves, and I calm my mind. And the deep breathing is really important. I even do it before I take my exams, and it just helps me to stop freaking out about whatever I'm freaking out about. So I do that. I try to do that at least twice a day. And these things have really helped me to get a handle on my anxiety, especially if I'm really consistent with it. Then I rarely experienced any type of anxiety. That was my anxiety story, and that was one of the reasons why I really started to really take care